Good morning and welcome to our very first Ask the Head. Thank you so much for all of your emails. There are lots of them, so what I'm going to do is go through them bit by bit, and I will take some of them each, but probably 3 at a time, and then answer as best I can. So happy to start with the first one, and thank you very much. The first one is about tutoring. A parent has emailed in to say, what is my view on tutoring and what do I think about it? It's a really tricky one, tutoring, because really you have to think about context. How old is the child? What's the purpose of the tutoring? And how much time is the tutoring going to take? It's not as simple, I agree with tutoring or disagree with tutoring. I think when a child is very young, you need to really weigh up why you're doing it. Why are you getting the tutoring? Is it to build confidence? Or is it to pass an exam? Or is it to get them beyond what the school is already offering? And I think that the negative points of tutoring is that you could be taking the child away from doing other activities that are equally important. They could be playing, they could be reading, they could be socialising with others, they could be visiting museums. Do we really want our children to be spending more time on maths and English after they've already had a very full day at school? On the other hand, there are times in a child's development and during their education where they might need extra support. And I think for those reasons, if it's about a GCSE where they are feeling worried about it or nervous, that actually tutoring can support the learning that's already happening at school. So there is no right or wrong answer, I'm afraid. I can't tell you what to do. I don't think if it's to pass an exam when they're young, that's the right thing to do. I don't think the children need it, especially when you're at a school where there is a lot of one-to-one and a lot of individualised feedback and interaction between parents, pupils and staff. Probably, if your daughter is young, then you should speak to the teachers. And if your daughter is a bit older, you should also speak to the teachers, see what they have to say, and then think about it. Don't forget that those enrichment activities that you can do with your daughter are just as important in their development. They need to see museums, they need to learn about the subjects that they're doing, they need to have time to rest, they need to sleep, they need to eat well, they need to exercise. And spending too much time focusing on schoolwork is not really going to be the best for them. So that's my view on tutoring. The next email I got in, or another email I got in, was about friendships and about how to support your daughters with their friendships and social interactions. This parent was actually talking about her daughter that had transitioned to the school, come into the school into year 7. And I think there are a number of things you need to think about. Some children take longer than others to make friends or to find their feet. We work really hard to ensure that the girls have as many opportunities to be with different people who have different interests. The clubs program that we have allows for children to meet with other girls that have the same interests, not necessarily in their same form. So I think encouraging girls to join clubs is a great way of helping with friendships and helping them to mix with girls that are going to have the same interests as them, and perhaps in different year groups. Another thing you can do is arrange play dates. While they're in year 7, you are still in control of who they meet and when they meet them. And I think that you should interact at all the social events that we've had, perhaps exchange numbers with another parent, and arrange times outside of school for them to meet up. It does happen organically. Friendships are made organically. Some are very quick to make friendships, new friendships, and they're very good at that, and some it takes longer. There's no hard and fast rule for friendship making. If you're worried, you should be speaking to the teachers or head of year. That's what they're there for. They're there to reassure you and there to keep an eye. And rest assured that all of the teachers, form tutors and head of year will be observing your daughters at all times to check that they are settling in. We really want the girls to come to us if there is an issue, but generally, after a few weeks, they quickly get into the routines of school and find someone that they can be friends with. If you feel it's not happening for your daughter, then please let us know. But I think that you've got to be careful how you question. If someone's coming home and they're a bit nervous, you don't have to ask the questions. Trust us that we are keeping an eye on them and checking that they are okay. So I've asked Miss Ferguson, our Deputy Head of Pastoral and Wellbeing, to join me for this one so that she can give you some of her ideas, and then we can have a discussion about how to manage stress and anxiety in young people. So the third email that I'd like to address is an email from a parent who I think probably her daughter's in year 11, and it's around stress and the anxieties around exams, particularly with the pressures of social media. So Miss Ferguson.
Yeah, I think firstly, I would advise not to endorse the concept of stress. It's not an inevitability. And in conversations that you can have with your daughter, you can actually try to steer the conversation away from that and think more about how to prevent it. And I think one of the best ways to prevent being in a situation where anxieties come up and you might feel that you lose control over them is preparedness.
Yep.
And this is where parents can support their daughters by helping the girls to structure their work around a planned timetable, to complete things early rather than leaving things to the last minute. And if they build up their knowledge over time, they're going to feel much more confident in those situations.
Yeah, I mean, stress, the parent's right that stress is being spoken about a lot in newspaper articles, on social media, and it's something that the girls are very aware of.
Yes.
And they almost feel that they need to be part of that movement of feeling stressed and anxious, because that's what they're supposed to be feeling. We work with the girls quite closely about managing that. I mean,
yes. One of many of the things that we will teach the girls through our programs, for example, the Positive program, we teach the girls to be kinder to themselves.
Yes.
So whilst the girls may have a natural tendency to criticise and to push themselves beyond a reasonable limit, they can actually use coaching techniques which would help them to encourage their inner self in the way that perhaps an avuncular figure might do so, or a friend might do so. So they can actually adopt that kind of inner voice, which will actually remove partly the pressure that they may be feeling.
Yeah. And I think parents can probably help, can't they? Because instead of asking them about the stress, they can focus on the positives that have happened and how well they're doing and how well they're managing the workload and other things that they're doing in school.
Yes, and I think parents will recognise that their daughter might find particular subjects more challenging than others, and both their daughter and the parents may see that as a source of what they're calling stress, and it's a source of challenge rather than using the word stress, a source of challenge. Very good advice is to suggest that the girls should tackle these very challenging pieces of work first, because our brain has a certain amount of cognitive energy, and actually by tackling those difficult pieces of work first, they'll be going into those with high cognitive energy. Perhaps use a 25 minutes, really attack it, no distractions, and then take a 25-minute break, and I really do mean a break.
Yeah.
And then again go back to the same piece of difficult work for 25 minutes. Add that up, it's an hour and 15 minutes out of your day, and you may have actually tackled something that was previously causing a state of anxiety.
And I think also limiting social media time. I mean, one of the big things that we find, and we know that the girls who now have laptops and they now have tablets and they now have their phones, which they are spending a lot of time on social media, so there's no switch off time at the end of the day. So they can whip themselves up into frenzies on social media because they are tired at that time of day when they're exposed to it. And actually restricting that time and making sure they are sleeping well and for a long enough period, they are eating, they're exercising, and they're drinking enough water, that those things will come into play and help manage their anxieties. It's no good for girls to be being up at 11 o'clock at night on a WhatsApp group, stressing about or worrying about an essay that they could have perhaps prepared earlier and have dealt with earlier. So really managing their time is a big part of managing anxiety around exams.
Early preparation.
Early preparation, as Ms Ferguson said. We work with them with the Vespa mindset, and we're working with the GCSE girls to ensure that the systems are in place early enough so that they are well prepared for those moments where there is a lot on. And I think that all of that combined with the positive programme really will help them manage their time so that they don't get anxious at crucial points in the year. So that's the end of the first session of Ask the Head. Thank you very much for joining us and thank you for watching. If you've got any questions that you want to ask myself or any members of the staff and Ms Ferguson, please do email askthehead@nwc.gdst.net, and I look forward to hearing from you.